Stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everyone to Monday, November 16th. If you have any questions, comments, business with this body, come up to the microphone, give us your name and address, and state your cause. Have the roll call, please.
Cedar.
Here.
Foley.
Here.
Kinsfater. Kleeman.
Here.
Cuffa. Laporte.
Here.
McCartney.
Here.
I have a motion to excuse member Kinsfater and Cuffa, please.
So move. Support.
All right, motion made, support, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? For number 4, consent agenda. City Council minutes of November 2nd, 2015, regular meeting, recommendation approved, and the Harbor Commission minutes of October 17th, 2015, meeting, recommendation received.
So move. Support.
Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We'll go to presentations. We're very fortunate we have State Rep Dan Lowers here tonight. Dan, you want to take a few minutes?
I don't want to take up any of your time more than I need to. Simply wanted to, come before the council and make sure that you all have my cell phone number. If there's any, I guess the most recent activity is the roads transportation package that we passed, and so if there are any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer them. If you want a brief overview, I'll give you a brief overview, but I don't know what level of understanding everyone on the council has of that, so but that seems to be the most popular question these days. So.
Actually, yes. I saw something online, and I know that's dangerous, but trying to explain how there's $400 million coming out of the general fund.
In this year's budget, correct. So 3 years ago, really lined up right when I started serving, we began appropriating general fund dollars into transportation above and beyond the normal transportation dollars that always go in. So, there's always between $2 and $3 billion going into transportation infrastructure, depending on how much federal match we're getting. From the state's perspective, it's always $2 billion. 3 years, so up to date, we've appropriated $1.27 billion out of general fund, in addition to the normal money that goes into transportation that comes out of your sales, your gas tax, and your registration fees. So we've been doing that right along, and that's why you're seeing some of the orange barrels that you're seeing, in addition to what's normally been appropriated. So, and really what this plan does is continue that. We've been as high as, I think our highest was 560 something million a couple years ago, maybe the year prior, that we appropriated out of general fund. So this plan works up next year. It'll be 500, I believe, 500 or 550 million out of general fund. It incrementally steps up the general fund, and that's been that fight, I guess, if you will, in the legislature from the beginning. There's many of us in the House that felt that the more we raise taxes, the more we were going to reduce the general fund or the growth of the state, so that we would see more money coming in for all projects, not alone roads and everything else. The more you raise taxes, the less we would see that. So, as Michigan has recovered, our general fund has recovered as well, our ability to appropriate. So this plan in the end, was right down the middle, half from general fund and half from new revenue, which is gas taxes and registration fees. So the impact to locals will be significantly more than the dollars that are currently going in. And what I mean by that is today's dollars all go through PA 51. You're probably familiar with that, Public Act 51. In Lansing, we described it as a funnel where you pour the money in the top, and then it has all kinds of spigots that run out. Okay, it goes for all infrastructure projects, so that includes airports and things like that we don't typically think of as roads and bridges. With the new plan, and of course the locals get their money out of that as well. With the new plan, half the money goes through the funnel, if you will, through PA 51. Half the money does not. Half the money goes directly to state, county, and local. So it's not bled off into all those other areas. Our needs seem to be the greatest, really, if you almost work that backwards, local, county, and state, if we look at the condition of our infrastructure. And so that was the reason behind that, is to make sure that half of this new 1.2 billion hits where it's needed the most, and that's at the local, county, and then the state level. So, so it'll be more of an impact than just increasing the funds to transportation by 1.2 billion. Is that clear as mud, or you following me?
So how much more local money do you, percentage-wise, what we say?
Well, percentage-wise, that is basically a third and a third and a third is how that is broken out between state, county, and local. So it's not perfect, but that's basically the formula there. So you're gonna receive additional dollars from both sources, but the one source kind of bypasses the middleman, if you will, and goes directly to those three areas. So it'll have an impact of more than 600 million additional dollars.
What about the weight limit on the roads? Has there been any movement on that?
No, nothing's changed on load limits. There's been a lot of talk about it, of course, and a lot of research done on it, and the research goes back to the 60s, 50s, and 60s that I've read. Again, I think we've talked about this here before even, but the only way to do better than we're doing today on our weight limits is to standardize trucks and then standardize all road manufacturing as well to match the spread of the axles on the trucks. That's really where the engineers come down on it, is the wave that's created by axles. You can manufacture roads to match that wave, and you do see that in some areas. Canada is one where their spreads are standardized, and so they do that. But we didn't change anything on weights, other than, of course, trucks are going to see quite a significant increase in their cost. Their fuel tax went up basically twice what the gas tax went up, and the registration fees have gone up 20%. And if you've ever bought an apportioned plate, you know what that means. You know, in my business, we'd write $15,000 checks for apportioned plates, so 20% increase in that's pretty significant.
So you don't think they're going to change the weight limit then?
No, I really don't. You know, when you break down the science on it, the heavier trucks, and we're talking about trucks over 80,000 pounds, are all limited to 11,000 pound axles, where the lighter trucks, if you will, 80,000 pounds and under, are allowed up to 13,000 pound axles. So the heavier trucks actually run lower pounds per square inch on the roads than the lighter trucks. So really, they have lighter load and more braking power than a lighter truck. So that's where you get into the science and the engineers on it. If you, often people say, well, look at Ohio's roads or others' roads. I would say look at Ontario's roads. Ontario runs almost exactly the same weight limits that we do, and their roads are quite a bit better than ours, and they have just as much frost as we do. What they have us on is drainage. If you, next time you're in Ontario, just look at the ditches when you're driving down the roads. And then next time you see problems here, look at the ditches when you see the problems. And that's really, I think, where we're missing it. If there's one thing we need to concentrate on more in maintaining our roads, it's better drainage. And
Isn't that part of the mandate now, when you're building state roads, that drainage has to be calculated into that?
Yes.
I noticed that on 69 and 94.
On 69, they really did I went out and checked on that project that they was building, and almost all the advancements in building that road are drainage. Every seam, everywhere there's a seam, there is an actual tile drain that is buried in stone with a moisture barrier in between the sand and the stone. So it's basically built to just almost like your basement, you know, built to pull the moisture out. And that's the killer of foundations. It's the killer of roads, is sitting wet.
So the half of the money that doesn't go into the funnel,
Correct.
that is just
that'll
earmarked
have
for roads and bridges, roads and infrastructure, not bike paths and trails and things like
doesn't
that.
go to
It's all just
any
roads
other
and-
right. And mass transit. So everybody got an increase. Everybody got, you know, again, it's half. In the end, you know, it really felt like you're settling a family squabble, you know, and we did everything by half. 1.2 billion was, you know, half new revenue, half old revenue. Of the new revenue, half of that is gas tax and half of that is registration fees. Of the money that goes through the funnel, half of it goes through the funnel, half of it doesn't go through the funnel, if you will. So everybody gets more. But really, in looking at the situation, it is our local roads that are in the worst shape. And so we wanted to make sure that we directed more money into local roads and not more money into all those other things that are part of transportation.
Is the state pulling any of that money ahead?
There's been talk about that, but no, I don't believe we'll see that. Again, we've spent 1.27 billion additional in the last 3 years. We've got 400 million in this year that we're in, another 5 or 550 scheduled for next year. Anyone who thinks that we should do more, I would challenge you to talk to the road builders and ask them how their hiring's going. Because I've talked to a lot of them. Almost anyone in any construction trade today will tell you that if you can show up tomorrow and pass the drug test, you're hired. And they can't get anybody. $20 an hour plus overtime, you're hired, can't get people. So, and I've had, of course, people call me and say, hey, I want to get in on those jobs, and but it's really, that is across the board. The water line project's going in, they've made that statement. We did an ag tour up in Northwest Michigan with members of the ag committee, and we heard that same thing over and over in people in all businesses. And we were at a fruit canning plant, and I asked them, I said, are you guys running into this same issue of, show up tomorrow and pass the drug test? And the guy says, oh, well, we quit drug testing. I said, what? Yeah, we had to quit drug testing. We lose half our employees. We had 12 no-shows this morning. That's normal. And we stopped drug testing. I don't know how that's all going to play out in the end if we continue doing that, because this is a very busy factory, if you will. You know what I mean? There's hot stuff. There's moving parts. There's forklifts running around. Not sure how that works out, but that is the state of employment. One of the major challenges that our employers are facing today. So,
How about pulling any money forward for local governments?
For transportation issues?
For, roads and street funding?
Well, again, the difference would be, do you want it faster than the 5 years that it's put in place? And we put that in place incrementally, thinking that if we contract more jobs, that, we had money go to St. Clair County a year ago, and they couldn't do all the work that we gave them the money for, because they simply can't. They're booked. You know what I mean? The road builders are at their max of what they can take on. So if we put more money in and put more projects in, there is a danger of inflation there. We'll do the job, but you know what I mean? We didn't want to drive up our own costs by pushing more money into an industry that has basically told us we are at capacity right now. In 5 years, I believe they'll grow into that capacity. We had an exodus of people out of the state of Michigan a number of years ago. Some of those people haven't returned. This may give them the signal they need that they can come back and expect to make a living here in their trade, and a lot of those people were in construction. So, just trying to be as responsible as we can.
Is there any questions from the audience?
That's okay.
Thank you, Dan.
All right, you're welcome. Forgive me if I run to the next one.
Yep.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
Dan.
Thank you.
Before I go, cell phone number, just to make sure you have it. Again, I'm on the road 6:30 to 8:30, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, AM and PM. So, 810-343-4203. Don't be afraid to call me. I'd rather deal with it and get the question answered and get you the information you want, or take the whooping if that's what it is, right up front, and know what's going on, than have you wonder why is he doing or not doing something. So that's for anyone here as well, of course.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks.
All right, we will go to number 6, public hearing. We have a public hearing for our Historic District Study Committee. Mr. Lockwood, is this your?
Can I move this?
I may need to stay here because it's a PDF and a PowerPoint.
Great. I am the chair of the St. Clair Historical Study Committee. I want to thank the commissioners for setting up this committee and allowing us to do it. If you go to the next page, these are the committee members, of which 3 of us are here. We represent a broad spectrum of the community. There's people with background in zoning, building, and historical. We go to the next one. The commission's charge was to determine if there are areas in the city that should be considered for historical district. The historical designation in the state of Michigan is defined by the National Register. And there are 4 items which you need to qualify, or 4 items. You don't have to meet all 4 of them, but significant events, significant persons, design or construction, and information potential. We looked at our sites, and Mike, if you go to the next page. We determined that there were 2 districts in the area that met. One is the St. Clair Inn. First of all, I want to just comment, it's already on the National Register. But it meets it because it started as a community hotel, and it's also due its architectural style, which is unique, though you see it's now very prevalent in our area. And then the second site, the historical district, we wanted to show you the site that we're talking about. So it starts at the north end of the St. Clair Inn property, it goes across the street. This would be just south of the Hayes building to Vine, and then comes back to the St. Clair Inn property and goes down to it just north of the pump house. So we backed out that area. I don't know if my glasses are foggy or... Okay, and then next is some of the historical aspects of the St. Clair Inn for the St. Clair Rotary Club conceived of the idea in 1925. It was determined that the community needed a local hotel, even though there were 3 or 4 hotels in the area. They determined it was not enough. It was built as a community hotel, and by that I meant shares were sold in the public. It was designed by Walter Wright, and this was the first significant public building that he designed. Turned out that there were a number of buildings that he designed. The Winford Estate is probably the one he's most popular for, besides the St. Clair Inn. If you notice the civic buildings, and I recently got an email telling me that St. Mary's School was designed by him. One of the things that makes it unique is that it is brick. The Rotary Club decided to spend an extra $400 and brick the building. And also, all the walls, and I'm including the interior and exterior buildings, are all poured concrete, which at that time makes the building basically fireproof. And then it was just real popular for vacationers. People would drive up from the Detroit area or on boaters to the St. Clair Inn. And the other one is the Museum Historic District. It is not on historical register, but it does meet the requirements. And basically, it meets the requirements because of the relationship between Patrick St. Clair and the Chippewa tribes. Again, we're all familiar with Fort St. Clair being built in 1764. Well, we could spend another hour explaining why St. Clair was chosen, or what we believe was the reason it was chosen. And then at the historical documents, which are kept in the building. As you look at this district, you will see, if you look at the historical maps of St. Clair, this is referred to as the Academy Block in Fulmer. Fulmer, am I right? Mr. Fulmer? Fulton. Mr. Fulton originally designed this in the plat of the building to be where there would be the county jail, there would be school, and a couple other administrative offices, and plus the church. When Mr. Palmer acquired the property, he maintained that designation. The city acquired a property in the 1970s, and has been working it ever since. So probably went into the next district. Again, as I say, is the Academy District. It's always been the block as you know it today, has been the Academy block. I don't know what else I can add on that other than what I've said, so let's go. I think that's just it. So those are the areas that we've got. If you have any questions, I'm here to take them. Or my committee will support me.
So where do we go from here, I guess, with the designations now that have been,
Well, you've got to, first of all, we're waiting for comments. If we don't have any comments, then the next meeting we've set up for you to approve the study recommendation. So that will establish the districts. Then what you will do is you will form a new committee, and that committee will be the Historical Commission. And then they will be the ones who will come up with the architectural requirements for that district.
renovation and new build?
You know what? That's going to depend on the commission, and but that's their charge. They can decide what they want to do, if they want to do anything. And then their report comes back to the council for acceptance or comments. So.
Would you like to add anything to any of this?
One time, it was the first centrally air-conditioned hotel in the world by Carrier.
I knew it was the first in the county. I didn't know
First
the world.
centrally air-conditioned hotel by Carrier in the world. So it's got a lot of history.
God, you're that old, Laporte?
Easy.
Annette, you have anything on?
I will add that the preliminary report was submitted to the proper entities, the State Historic Preservation Office. The only recommendation they had was to separate the two. The original report was sent as one, describing both districts. Other than separating the two, they had no recommendations and said we could move forward with it.
All right.
Mayor, I just want to say thank you. It was a privilege to serve on this committee.
Well, thank you for doing it.
Thanks, Dan.
All right, then we will go to number 7. Mr. Booth, do you have anything tonight?
I have a few items.
Sorry, can you close the public hearing, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. I will just make a, I'm just going to close the public
close
hearing.
it.
I'd move to close the public hearing. Do you want a motion?
No.
Okay.
We have to
Thank
do
you.
it your way. Okay, public hearing is closed. Thank you. All right,
Okay,
Mr. Booth.
I would like to start out by, I guess, adding to Mr. Lauer's update on the transportation funding, and actually put a few preliminary numbers to what he had shared. The city will receive, again, this is preliminary, it's from MDOT, starting in 2017, an additional $89,000 a year, approximately. And then by 2021, the number is expected to increase to an additional $255,000. So it's not 89 plus that, it's an additional 255 at the end of 2021. And then I'm going to put just a brief, the realities of this funding will continue to unfold, obviously. I mean, it just passed, but the money is being appropriated from the general fund for the state. So I'm not going to count it until we get some more concrete numbers, but again, 255 in 2021, just over 89,000 in 2017. So again, money we're probably happy to have here, but that's not necessarily something that's going to solve the dilemma of local roads in St. Clair and fixing them. Second item I have for this evening is I wanted to make sure that people knew that City Hall would be closed for the Thanksgiving holiday. That's Thursday, November 26th, and Friday, November 27th. And then the last item I have is the Santa Parade is this Friday at 6 o'clock. That's all I have here.
All right, any questions or anything, Mr. Booth? Okay, we are going to skip B. Mr. Downey's not here tonight. Any city departments tonight? Any commissions, committee chairs, or council reps? Anything? We have no unfinished business, no new business. Going to claims of the accounts, number 10, November 6th and November 13th, 2015.
Hearing no questions, Your Honor, make a motion to approve as presented.
I'll support the motion.
All right, the motion made, support. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go to number 11, public comment. Anything of good or cause tonight? All right, go to number 12. I have a couple quick things. I was going to mention the Santa Parade this Friday, 6 o'clock. Everybody have a good, safe Thanksgiving. I'm going to ask council if we would entertain an idea to have a work session next Monday night, the 23rd, at 6 o'clock for roads. Talk about the election results and some other things that we need to still continue to work with. Anybody okay with that?
Yep, sounds good.
All right, we'll say 6 o'clock next Monday, November 23rd. And I had a text from Butch and Mitch today, and they said that date was good for them, too.
Gourmet Gallop, December 3rd. And there's one other event. Santa Parade, Gourmet Gallop, what am I missing?
Santa's Workshop.
We can't forget
Don't know
that.
anything about that, do you? That's the Saturday after Thanksgiving in the plaza.
Sally, when's the Gallup Gourmet again? When'd you say? December
December
3rd?
3rd.
December, is it? Where's the tickets available? You?
The St.
Chamber office?
Chamber
Okay.
office. You can call there, leave a message. if
Glad
need
she
be.
said that. I didn't.
There
I had
are
it on my
many
list
people
for last year.
participating,
I was thinking we were gonna meet again.
businesses participating this year, more
You s-
than last year.
You still on a chamber? Good, okay. Thank you.
We have nothing else, Your Honor, I make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
All right, motion made, support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for your hard work. Be careful going home.